Hi, my name is Alna from alnakane.com, and for today's video, we're going to talk about how to write a blog introduction as a freelance writer. Now, over on Twitter, I asked people, what's the toughest thing about writing blog posts? And the number one thing for 61% is the hook or the intro. So if that's you, let's go. So how do people read blog posts? Now, most people see a headline, right, on social media, and then they're thinking, hey, is this relatable? Is it worthwhile? Am I curious? Yes. If that's so, they're going to click on the headline and read the first sentence. And again, they're going to go through that process again. Is this for me? Do I relate to what they are saying? Do I know this? Do I want to know more about it? Right? The goal is to help the reader interested in and reading your sentences, or at least scanning to the parts they want to read. This is important when you're writing your introductions. It's that whole idea, I go in the next slide here, of the WIIFM concept, which is what's in it for me. That's what the reader is always constantly thinking when they see a blog post or something on social media. So that first sentence is the hook. This is what will hook a reader to keep on reading past the headline. And the best hooks address the reader and makes them part of the introduction. And again, the reader is always asking, is this relatable, worthwhile? Am I curious about this? If they answer yes, then they'll keep on reading. So let's get the hook right. There's a couple of pointers I'm going to share about writing introductions, but this is the biggest one about different hooks. There's bucket brigades. You can ask a question, having a startling fact or opinion, telling a fictional story. We're going to go through all of those, and then I'll add some more tips to help you write introductions outside of hooks. So bucket brigades, I want you to think of this as the reader trying to complete the loop. It's a copywriting principle. Now, the first sentence is typically one word or a phrase. It could be a saying, it could be a message that immediately intrigues the reader. But to get the whole idea, the reader has to read the second sentence. So I do this often on my blog. So I have, let me guess. Right? That's a bucket brigade. I haven't finished my thought yet. You have to read the next sentence to understand what I'm talking about, and you can keep on reading and reading. Here's another example from animals. Blindfold a dozen marketers. Holy moly, that got me interested. Like, why are you going to do that? What is this about? Why am I doing this? Right? All of this has that curiosity factor, and I want to keep on reading. And then on Medium, Tim Denning is one of the most popular Medium writers. He writes here, capitalism hides a little known truth. It's a partial thought. He has to complete the loop. And in order to do that, the reader has to keep on reading his introduction. Why use bucket brigades? Well, they're a powerful hook for blog introductions. They're best for blogs and social media, not the best for email subject lines. You can use them if you want. They're invaluable for increasing reader engagement and improving the overall user experience. Bucket brigades have been shown to, boost reader engagement by providing that flow. It lowers bounce rates if you sprinkle more than one throughout your post, which you can sprinkle bucket brigades in your conclusion, in your body of your post, in different parts of your content piece. You can enhance readability and satisfaction when it's not clickbait. So types of bucket brigades, here we have general ones. Do I have your attention? You can write. Think about that for a minute. Personally, I don't write those types of bucket brigades, but you can if you want, like in a Medium post. Some ones for your introductions. Do you want to learn how to? Have you ever found yourself? Imagine what it would be like. So some of that could even be for sales page writing. A lot of this, imagine what it would be like, to make that first $1,000 as a freelance writer. I can have that as a bucket brigade in my sales page. But for a blog post, do you want to learn how to? You can structure it that way. Do you want to learn how to make money writing? Yes. Okay. Then I'm going to keep on reading kind of thing. Throughout your content, you can add things like, let's get started, let's dig a little deeper, let me explain, let me show you how. Those are all great ways to break up your writing in your subtopics to add those bucket brigades. And then in your conclusion, you can even do something like, in short, let's recap, in a nutshell, but don't take my word for it kind of thing. The next way you can create a hook is by asking a question. You want to connect with your reader and make them think about what you are saying by them nodding. Yes, I understand what you're saying. I get it. I want to keep on reading kind of thing. This is what will hook the reader to keep on reading. So when you're writing, think about what are the readers struggling with and what do they not know that you can help them with in your writing, right? So for example, another example from animals is here. When does it make sense to invest in content quality? It's a great opener. It makes me think about this. Like, well, when is it? I don't know when it makes sense to really invest in content quality, right? So I want to keep on reading. Over on my blog, are you trying to figure out how to become a content writer? Are you nodding yes? Well, then you're going to keep on reading, right? Like, I'm speaking to that person that wants to make money from home through content writing. Then over on Medium, and Sarah here asks, are you sure you got the skills to be an exceptional copywriter, right? Great opener right there. So why ask a question? Well, it's a great copywriting principle from Joe Sugarman. He creates this yes content. He says, as people read your copy, they should say yes to each of your statements. All of your claims should resonate deeply with them. The goal is to write from their point of view so that they get the feeling that they know exactly what they're going through. This is only possible when you put the time to deeply understand the customers or the audience. The easiest way to do this is by talking to them in person and asking them about their problems. Definitely you can frame your question as addressing their problems. So for example, if the topic is AI and it's for website coders and maybe they're scared that AI will take away their job, your hook or the first part, like sentence in your introduction is, are you worried that AI will steal all your coding jobs from you? Coders are going to be like, yes, I need to know. Like, what are you going to tell me about this? Is this true or not? Right? It's a great opener and it makes people want to keep on reading. The fourth type of hook is a startling fact or opinion. So you can use stats, facts, or opinions. That could also be a polarizing, for example. So as long as the client is okay with this and it matches their brand message, then you can have a polarizing opinion. So for example, in Copy Hackers, it says here, cold emails aren't a numbers game. That's a polarizing opinion because most copywriters will say that it is a numbers game. Over on GoDaddy, they decide to use a statistic to, drive the point about podcasts and how you should start a podcast if you're a small business owner. So according to a report updated in February on Neil Schaefer's website, there are almost 2.5 million podcasts on Apple Podcasts alone. And there are more than 71 million episodes in podcast feeds. It's a strong statistic and it helps business owners that are waffling on starting a podcast think, well, maybe there is something here. Let me read this guide to help me. So why use a startling fact or opinion? It's a surefire way to find the right audience to read your blog post, right? By making that stance. And it doesn't have to be drastic, but it can help your client find the right audience for their product or service. So using a question also shows your client that you absolutely know their audience and you want to write for them. So if you fundamentally understand your client's audience, then you can write this type of content that could help elevate the brand's message, for example, right? If they're an AI tool, then you can, focus on that polarizing view of AI is ruining jobs or whatever. And you can have this polarizing opinion about it and talk about, it's going to create double, triple more jobs instead kind of thing. If you start your content pieces like that, it will get the right readers to read your content. And the last type of hook is a fictional story. So you can open up your article with a real or fictional story that makes the reader relate to what you're saying. So this adds a layer of emotional connection and will help the reader become invested in your writing. It just makes them want to keep on reading. I did this for one of my client pieces here on how to elevate your writing with original research. I talk about a little story here. Do you know one of the best ways to be an expert writer is to learn how to conduct original research? I decided to start with a question, like a yes question. I didn't know that for the first 6 years I was a content writer. And here is sort of my story. It's only this year that I decided to compile my first statistical report for my brand. And doing that, one thing helped elevate my content. And I continue with my story. So for this piece, I decided to do that element of creating a story. On Medium, you're going to find a lot of examples of storytelling. Make sure to peruse Medium. So Eve here starts the post with her story. She's gone from 425 to 9K followers on Twitter in 5 months. And she works a day job, right? I want to keep reading. I'm invested. How did she do this? Why use fictional stories? To be an effective freelance writer, you need to learn copywriting because part of understanding copywriting is that ability to tell a story through your writing. And while I'm not the best storyteller in real life, I can take the time to craft something interesting when I write. And it's also a surefire way to beat AI writing by using that human touch, those stories. So make sure to read Medium articles for those personal stories, as that will help you become a better writer. Outside of those hooks, another way to write those introductions is to make the reader part of your story. So writing online isn't the same as writing a term paper or writing in your journal. Everything you write in a blog post, in a guest post, a client piece, or social media, like a tweet, is directed towards the reader. Who is reading your content and why are they reading your content? Those are things you need to address in your introductions to speak to the reader and make them want to keep reading. If you don't know, the goal of your introduction is to set up what you will write about in your article. So typically introductions are around 100 to 200 words, sometimes shorter. When I write my blog post, I always start with introduction because it sets me up to what I want to write about. It gives me the angle, the emotion I want to create, and how I will tie everything together, right? But some writers don't do that. You may only do the main part of the article and save your intro and conclusion as the last part of your writing process. Whatever your writing process is, maybe if you're struggling with introductions, you want to try these hooks and maybe writing them will become easier. So then you can use sort of that top-down approach to writing like I do. All right, so there you go. That's how to write blog introductions as a freelance writer. Let me know in the comments below how you are with this part of writing. Is it a tough thing for you? Do you find these other things harder to do? Let me know. And if so, I may also do videos on these aspects as well. All right, so make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.